All right. So I'm here today with Lisa Landrigan. And Lisa, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am married to Amy Burnett. We have been together for a little over 20 years. I have 4 adult children and 3 amazing grandkids. I am retired from the federal prison system, and now I work here at the church as the administrative assistant and the volunteer coordinator. Well, this is kind of a funny story. Mary Hilsebeck Huber and I worked at the federal prison together. And so we were good friends before she ever found Unity, and she started coming in 2007. So I got to hear all about it, and she invited me constantly. I had kind of gotten to a place where I really didn't think I would ever have a church home or a church family. It just wasn't something that I thought I could ever find. And so she continued to invite us. And for 7 years, we said no. And then for whatever reason, well, I know what the reason was. The main reason was because I saw so many positive changes in Mary's life from before Unity and then after she was attending Unity. So I'm like, I guess I better come and check this out and see what's happening there, because I see it in Mary. So we came. January 5th, 2014 was our first Sunday. I'll never forget it. And 6 months later, we became members and have been here ever since.
One of your favorite Unity principles and why?
Oh, there are so many, and there's so many good ones. I would say one of the most profound teachings for me is our statement of faith. Knowing and believing that there is one presence and one power, and it's for me, it's good, and it's for me. And then living from that knowledge and that knowing, it has impacted my life greatly. Well, our spiritual leader, Sue, kind of jokes about this, but in 2017, we were in just a conversation with other people, and she said something about wishing we could do an event around Earth Day or May Day, something in the spring. And part of my job at the federal prison was to plan things, plan programs for staff, for inmates. So I had some of that event planning background. And when she said that, it really started my wheels turning. And then it just made sense, because so many of us on a spiritual journey have such a connection with nature and our Mother Earth, that why not do something around Earth Day? So I started all this research. I went online, I looked at other Earth Day events. I went on the Earth Day website and got all kinds of information. And she laughs because I put it all in a nice little binder, very organized, so I could just give it to her and she could look through it when she wanted and tell me what she thought. Well, I went into her office, we looked through it, and she said, go and do it. And so we did. And every year since, we've been having Planet Unity on Earth Day. All right, so we just finished our 3rd season as having a crisis cold weather shelter at our church. And this was also instigated a little bit by our spiritual leader, Sue, because she really wanted us to step up as a church more and become more involved in the community and with the homeless population. So we didn't know what that looked like. We didn't know what that meant. We just started asking the questions, asking people to come and talk to us about what that meant, what the needs were. And when it was all said and done, we took a huge leap of faith and just stepped out and opened a shelter.
And tell us, how has that changed our church?
Probably the least expected was, the last thing we were thinking of is how it would impact our church community. And it has been amazing to watch and receive the support we have received from our neighbors, from our community, from our spiritual community. We've gained so much from having this shelter. I mean, and not only have we become closer as a spiritual community providing this service, but even our neighbors that live around us and in this community, they've donated food and clothing and money so to support our shelter. And not only have we been blessed with our guests that come in, but we have members of our church today that started as a volunteer in our shelter. So they came, they volunteered in the shelter, they didn't know anything about Unity, and today they're members. So the volunteers get just as blessed as the wonderful people coming in that need a warm place to sleep. It's just been an amazing thing for Unity.
And tell us a story or two that sticks out in your mind from that experience about one of the guests.
Well, I recently got reconnected with one of the guests who it was her and her then boyfriend, who another person in the community that works at a shelter contacted us because she had this couple, and Unity is a couple shelter, and they worked at Red Robin, so we were the closest shelter. They of course didn't have any place to stay, but they had jobs. And she said, is there any way that Unity will reserve a couple spot for them every night, because they're at work and they get off at 10 and they don't have anywhere to go. So of course we said yes, and for that entire season, every night when they got off work, they would come to our shelter and they would get a ride, and the next morning they would go back to work. And I just reconnected with one of them, and they are housed now, doing amazing, both still at Red Robin. And not only are they housed, but they're getting ready to purchase a house. So it's things like that know you had a little bit of part in that, of making them feel worthy and valuable, and it's just an amazing experience. Well, in addition to the tremendous amount of love and acceptance that you're going to feel pretty much as soon as you walk in the door, Unity teachings will wake something inside you that you didn't even know was sleeping. Unity teachings will just make your head spin in the greatest way possible. It'll put you on a spiritual journey that is just life-changing.